I want to kind of start off, I'm sure most of you will be aware of this, but I want to start off by actually just giving you an idea of what we have been seeing in the past couple of months. It's actually really 2019 really has been the year when deepfakes really hit the scene and really made the public also more aware of what AI can actually is actually capable of achieving by now. Because I actually recall just a couple of years ago, people were still thinking that AI is something, so artificial intelligence is something that maybe somewhere in the far, far future will be capable of actually producing output that is somehow relevant to normal humans, as in not researchers. So it actually was quite interesting to see all of these deep fakes coming up this year, which have actually been able to confuse those people to believe that they are real. So most of these deepfakes that I've put up here, so for example, we had the speech of Barack Obama, we had Mark Zuckerberg stating some things about Facebook, where we also had Donald Trump advertising Belgium on their climate politics. But these were all marked as being hoaxes. So in this case, the public was informed that these videos are not real, but just from the look and the feel of them, they could have perfectly been valid. So that is something that has not been present in the past and to this extreme, and it's something that we have to be aware of, that it's not just being able to alter video material that has been around to, for example, swap faces. So you can take a video sequence of someone and just merge your own face or someone else's face into that, but you're also able, as in the case of the speech from Barack Obama, to actually have something completely differently being said within that talk. So you're actually able to extract features, we're going to go into that detail in a second, from the face, that you derive information from material that's out there, you extract information from the face of Barack Obama, how he moves when he speaks, and you combine that with your own speech and make it look as if what you are saying is actually being said by Barack Obama or anybody else that you can find sufficiently enough material to use deepfakes or deep learning methods on. What I want to highlight in this case, in this context as well, is that we are not just looking at video manipulations, but this is actually a research topic that has been around for quite a while. So, for example, which most people probably aren't that aware of, but which is quite known within the research community, is that there is something called SciGen, which is a tool that was developed by MIT in 2005, originally, I think, that is capable of producing scientific papers. And they have actually been able to, so these are completely artificially generated papers. There's no human editing whatsoever taking place. And they have actually been able to submit these papers, some of them, to conferences, and they have actually passed a reviewing process and were invited to present this completely artificially produced paper. So, and this is, as I said, this was originated in 2005. So of course this is purely text-based, but just to give you a feeling of the kind of capabilities that you have with rather simple AI methods. Now combining that with video and audio manipulation opens a whole new corridor of options available, which we are going to look into in more detail. So, but first of all, let's just kind of look at the term of deepfake, which is actually a term, it's a portmanteau, which is a combination of deep learning, which are a whole set of AI methods, and the result that you can achieve with it, which are fakes. So they can be applied to any type of material that you can have. You can use audio, video, text, still images. You can also combine these kind of information, so you can combine video sequences and audio sequences. So even if you don't have the voice, you would normally just have the video manipulation, you can combine that with audio signal processing methods, so you will also have the real voice of that person. We are actually, especially in the speech processing, we are that far that you are able to also demonstrate emotional voice. So you can actually what you would think of when you think of synthesized speeches, you would think of this rather robotic, monotone type of speech, but that's not the case anymore. So that's something where research in the past couple of 5 to 6 years has really made a lot of progress, as well as in the video processing. So, as I said, there are a couple of methods. So deep learning is not just one method, it's actually a set. It's a term that describes a lot of different AI methods. I don't want to go into more detail about these different type of things because that is something that is more into the AI researchers. But just to kind of give you the idea that there are different types of algorithms around that you can use. And these are actually available, so it's nothing that you have to develop on your own. It's nothing where you really have to do the research on your own. It's actually already been done for you. And these researchers actually originate from perfectly valid resources. So where these methods have been used in the past is actually things like computer vision. So you have medical applications where you actually use these methods to identify, for example, malicious tissues in an image that you've been taking. You have speech processing, you have social network analysis, you have machine translations, all those kind of things that are perfectly valid uses and research topics that have been addressed with these methods. So that's where they come from. So this is just to give you the idea that this is really research that's been going on for 20 years. So it is at a very advanced level at this stage, which is why why people have been able to utilize this to produce what we've seen this year as deepfakes. What is also very important to stress is that these methods, so deep learning methods, have been able to produce results, for example, in board games, but also in speeches, that are similar or even superior to humans. So and this is really what is making deepfakes so interesting, because as a human, you will not be, from just looking at the video, you will not be able to identify it as being a deepfake. And it may actually even be superior. So in terms of, for example, the scientific paper, there aren't that many people around that have scientific papers that are being published at conferences. But thinking of it that you are actually able to generate this with methods of AI, and they're not even using deep learning for this. So just to give you the idea how, at what superior level we are. So also to kind of go more into small detail about what deepfakes actually are, to give you more an idea, what you have is you actually, for example, in video material, you take the face and you extract what is called features. You extract features from the face. So this is actually how you would be going about to explain what a person looks like to someone who has not seen that person. So you would, for example, say, okay, she has a nose that is medium-sized, she has almond-shaped eyes, and go on like that. But you are, as a machine, you can be much, much more detailed. So you would actually be able to really say, at coordinate X, Y, Z in the face, there are the eyes, there are the size, 12.5 millimeters, and so on. So you are as a machine, you are much more specific and much more exact than the human observer could ever be. And this is also one of the reasons why deepfakes are have so high capabilities. What is also new to deepfakes or to deep learning is that it's fully automated. So normally, if you look at the slide, the first part, the input and the feature extraction used to be something that you would have to do manually. So you would have a researcher labeling data and extracting features for the machine to learn. With deep learning, you don't have to do that anymore. So you just feed in an amount of video material and get the features out of that automatically. And the machine also selects the best features. So you don't have the bias of the researcher promoting a certain set of features anymore. So it's actually completely automated. So the prominent case that we have been looking at recently was the case of Katie Jones. I'm sure most of you will have heard from it from the media. Katie Jones was a research and a research fellow at the CSIS located in Washington, and she is a completely artificial account that was set up on LinkedIn. So that's also the one thing that's special, but it's not special that it's a fake account. There are many fake accounts around on social media. We are all aware of that. But what was so special about Katie Jones is that the image that she used, or it used, is completely artificial. So the image was created by overlapping different faces and actually generating a picture of a female that was supposed to be appealing to make many people accept the connection request that she sent out on LinkedIn. We do not know to this stage who actually generated Katie Jones or what the intention of creating Katie Jones was. It looks like she only was trying to make connections to highly acknowledged experts in the area of Russian and Eurasian studies. So we can speculate about what the intention was, but what this shows is how actually a network like LinkedIn, which is designed to allow this type of networking and social interactions, can be used for obviously espionage purposes. So what are we really looking at is what are the next things that we are going to expect. So what Katie Jones did was just to make connection requests. She only built up a network. But we are looking at that we will be facing deepfake video, voice, and stills being displayed on those kind of networks as well to kind of highlight the validity of the profile. And actually, we are also going to see completely automated artificial interactions. So, why is cyber so susceptible to information warfare campaigns in general, and in particular to deepfakes? Is actually that this is really, we have built this domain, the cyber domain, to be the home domain of information warfare, because nothing is that much dependent on information and built to actually be providing information to anyone who is interested in it to share and to actually also produce their own information as the internet or the cyberspaces. So this is why it is that highly susceptible to it. And it's also, there are no controls that we have built in. So we don't have any checks as we would have with normal media presentations. So if you open a newspaper, you will normally know who's the editor-in-chief, who has reviewed the article. You do assume that there is some fact check being done in the background. You don't have this in cyberspaces. And currently there are no ways of really enforcing this. And this is why it is actually really the information weapon coming home to its own domain. So what are we looking at for the future? And this is not the far future. I'm expecting this to come up maybe already within US elections. There are rumors around that these type of command and control for deepfakes actually might already exist. From a technical point of view, they are rather easy to develop. We do not know that there are any of these command and control panels around yet, so there are no apps that you can buy, whereas for the deepfake videos, you actually can just go into the App Store and buy apps. Yeah, so they're called Zao or Fake App, for example, just to name two. But given the fact that we are at this superior level for video manipulation, we are quite sure that there will be this kind of automated command and control panel for deepfakes, which are also capable of producing their own material. So you can actually just give the application or the panel a buzzword. For example, you say election, and then you say whatever party you are in favor of, and then that generates text to support these two buzzwords and kind of direct opinions to be directed in this direction. So what are we expecting are actually a whole set of AI agents coming up over the next decade, which will be flooding our social media, and not just our social media, but the cyberspace in general. So, and with that, we've been hearing a lot about the disinformation factories in Far East today in the morning. What you need there were actually people who will be sitting there and producing texts or who would be producing posts. You will not need that in the near future. And this is actually what makes it so interesting, because these deep fakes may also be superior to a human who is producing these kind of disinformation campaigns. Because, for example, with a real human, you may have difficulties with the language, you may have a specific type of writing that is fixed for each individual. There are actually studies around that are capable of matching text styles to the writer who wrote the text. With AI agents, you will not be able to see that anymore because they will be superior to the human writer. This is why deepfakes are so important. What is also important about them is that they are easy to scale. So when you have one command and control panel for these AI agents, you can produce as many agents as you want. You don't just have to hire one individual. You can, by having one command and control panel, you can suddenly have 100 posts from different agents. You can have 1,000. It doesn't matter. They're easy to scale. They're relatively cheap to develop because all of the research that's necessary has already been done. You just have to put it together. They will be intensely difficult to identify. And they will have a high impact due to the fact that we are so reliant on digital media as our information resources and due to the popularity of social media in particular. So this is actually what we are going to look at in the future. So what can we do about it? Well, we have to look at the technical, strategic, and operational sides. And this is actually really difficult from a technical perspective because these AI agents are designed to incorporate human behavior. So it's not just the looks and the feel and the text that is looking as being produced by a human. It's actually the whole combination of the three. So you will have real difficulties to distinguish whether a post is originating from an agent or whether it does come from a human. So what can we do? As I said, the technical side is very difficult. There is research going on this. There's also Facebook, of course, on the front line trying to fight this and trying to identify metrics that will actually show whether a post belongs to a disinformation campaign or not. But we also have to look at the strategic and operational side. Well, we've been hearing a lot today in the morning. Also, was the discussion on what can we actually do. We had heard the comparison between Finland and other regions in the world. So as the Scandinavian countries in general, Finland in specific, appears to have a very high resilience towards disinformation campaigns. What we can do is we need to look at what do these countries do well. So is it just the higher education, or are there other measures around that actually help support the resilience of the population towards disinformation? And we have to identify these things and transport them to other nations to, as an alliance, be capable of responding and identifying in the first of all, identifying and then responding to disinformation campaigns. We need to find a strategic communication that is allied among all our allies to actually be able to state how we are going to operate when we identify disinformation campaigns. And we have to be transparent and coordinated about our actions, because there are many things that can go completely wrong with responding to disinformation campaigns. We just trigger this I do not believe in that media, I do not believe in that media discussion, which actually is a whole disinformation campaign in itself. So these are some of the things that we need to look at. This is all work in progress, because this is completely new to us all, to actually look at and be confronted with this type of difficulty arising across social media and digital spaces in general. So that is finalizing my talk. There are a couple of detailed studies available from us. Of course, there is a deepfake paper which has been published here and is outside and you can grab. You can also contact myself, or you can follow us on Twitter if you are interested in getting more detail on this. If you have any technical questions, I'm perfectly happy to answer them, because I'm a computer scientist, so that's where I come from, and which is my field where I feel most secure about. So with that, I want to thank you all for your attention.